International Humanitarian Medical Association Médecins Sans Frontiere was founded in 1971 by a group of doctors and journalists. They wanted to deliver emergency medical aid to wherever in the world it was needed and speak out about what they witnessed. Since that time, MSF teams have been providing assistance to people across the world whose lives or health are in danger, are enduring a crisis, or who have no access to health care. In conflict situations, MSF's actions are guided by its principles of impartiality and neutrality. This means delivering aid without any form of discrimination, giving priority to individuals at most immediate risk, and not siding with any of the warring parties. Central to MSF's identity is also a commitment to independence, an independence fostered by the association's financial autonomy. Almost all of its funding is provided by the generosity of millions of private donors from across the globe. MSF speaks out to inform and alert the public to the plight of the populations it assists, the critical nature of a situation, and mobilize relief efforts.
On essaie de faire notre mieux, mais on est débordé. 35 000 personnes, on s'en sort pas tout seul, il faut venir nous aider là. Ils sont où les autres, je comprends pas. On est juste à côté de l'aéroport. C'est pas comme si on peut ignorer cette... Enfin, on sait qu'ils sont là quand même. C'est l'aéroport de la capitale.
MSF's core activity is delivering medical aid when a country's health system does not or is no longer able to do so. War surgery, mass vaccination to prevent epidemics, restoring basic medical services during population displacements, re-establishing access to clean water after a natural disaster. The aim is to reach as many people as quickly as possible. MSF's medical assistance is also intended for individuals and remote communities abandoned by their governments or left to their fate by the pharmaceutical industry.
Last time we Okay, bye. See you on Monday.
All these activities call on skills developed over the years. Working in volatile settings requires logistical support capable of preparing, transporting, and storing everything the teams might need in the field. Kits, basically standardized toolboxes, allow the teams, depending on what's required, to vaccinate thousands of people against cholera or set up an inflatable hospital in under 2 days. Almost 90% of personnel working in the field are employed locally. The rest are international staff. Their professions generally fall into one of 3 categories: medical, logistics, and administrative, ranging from midwives and accountants to mechanics and pharmacists. For example, a water and hygiene specialist will be responsible for building latrines in a displaced persons camp. A nurse for supervising a primary healthcare center or organizing an information campaign. And a human resources manager for recruiting staff needed for a vaccination campaign. Close to a third of MSF's projects are in conflict zones. In the chaos of war, MSF seeks not only to provide surgical care to people wounded in the fighting, but also to restore access to basic health services for the whole population.
On a à peu près 10-12 patients tous les jours, par plaie par balle ou par explosion. On a des amputations, en particulier dues aux mines. Il y a des laparotomies pour des plaies pénétrantes de l'abdomen. Et puis, on a une activité de césarienne, parce que dans le secteur, il n'y a pas d'autre accès aux soins chirurgicaux que notre hôpital.
The teams have to negotiate constantly to be able to provide assistance to those whose needs they consider a priority.
On devait évacuer 4 blessés. On va discuter avec le chef. Et quand je suis arrivé à leur base, ils étaient plus de 300. 300. Tous en armes. Tous en armes. On avait quand même un avantage. Parce que le chef, il avait reçu une balle au pied. Du coup, il s'est soigné à l'hôpital. Et je suis allé dire au chef, rappelez ce que Médecins sans frontières. J'ai un patient, il faut le transférer le plus rapidement possible. Je n'ai pas le temps.
un paysage apocalyptique, quoi. On était à J6 après le typhon. Il y avait encore énormément de débris partout. Les immeubles étaient quand même très endommagés.
In the case of an earthquake, hurricane, or any other natural disaster, the priority is to send in experienced personnel to assess the situation and identify the most urgent need. As soon as the necessary equipment arrives, operations can be launched.
Donc derrière moi se trouve le terrain qui a été identifié pour monter la structure. C'est un terrain de football. Elle sera équipée d'environ 80 lits.
Forced to live in overcrowded camps with insufficient food and drinking water, people displaced by conflict or natural disaster are particularly vulnerable to measles, diarrheal diseases, respiratory infections, malaria, and malnutrition. The most fragile, pregnant women, young children, the sick and elderly can die in large numbers within just a few weeks. In these situations, MSF launches emergency aid operations.
Okay, let's go.
On voit en moyenne à peu près 300 personnes par jour, un tiers d'enfants et le reste des pathologies assez diverses et variées.
The emergency phase over, MSF's work evolves along with the refugees' needs. Then it's a question of maintaining continued access to basic services for people the world forgets, some of whom end up living in camps for years.
As we have no point, we have no chance in this refugee camp.
MSF also assists vulnerable people on their journeys along migration routes in Europe, Latin America, and the Mediterranean Sea. Cholera, measles, Ebola, hepatitis C, tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS. These are some of the infectious diseases MSF confronts in the places where its teams provide assistance. In the event of a sudden outbreak, the teams are able to deploy rapidly.
Haïti n'a jamais connu d'épidémie de choléra. Sur les jours à venir, on est très inquiet de ne pas avoir la capacité d'accueil assez importante pour pouvoir traiter tous les cas. Aujourd'hui, ils arrivent en masse. Notre hôpital est complètement rempli. Ça nous arrive de refuser même des références parce qu'on sait très bien qu'on ne peut pas les prendre en charge.
MSF also provides patients with long-term care.
Կարող ասում են 2 տարի բուժվես ու եկա ասում որ 2 տարի պիտի բուժվես։ Չի հավատում, մի քիչ ծանր տարածման համակերպվեց։
6 operational entities steered by an international office and supported by 26 associations based around the world are tasked with running these operations. MSF's assistance in the field also relies on a network of partners and support organizations. Whether it's critical reflection on humanitarian action, campaigning for access to drugs for diseases neglected by the pharmaceutical industry, conducting epidemiological surveys, participating directly in medical research, or managing a central supply center, all these partners and organizations make a vital contribution to MSF's work.